end of the world. I could feel all this death.
Everything they built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
A powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake has struck off the west coast of the Indonesian island of Sumatra. The epicenter of the quake was 502 miles southwest of Padang. There is no apparent tsunami threat at this time, and there were no immediate reports of damage or casualties. This is the strongest quake of 2016. The last quake this strong was a magnitude 8.3 off the coast of Illapel, Chile on September 16th of 2015.
It's a popular way to keep track of pets, but would you microchip yourself?
With a swipe of your hand, it would allow you to unlock doors, turn on lights, even log on to your cell phone. It's called biohacking. And as CBS 4's Vanessa Borsch reports, it's happening right here in South Florida.
We live in a digital world filled with computers, cell phones, even fitness trackers. Humans now use technology for everyday conveniences by learning how to hack life.
You kind of barely see it.
Chrissy Heichman is implanted with a tiny, low-frequency microchip. The process is called biohacking. You've seen it before in movies.
This may be a little uncomfortable.
But science fiction is now reality. Why would someone do this? Heichman says to end the hassle of carrying a security badge at work.
So I'd be swiping this thing every time I went in, and a lot of times I'm carrying a bunch of stuff and it was really inconvenient.
So with just a wave of her now bionic hand, Heichman gets the green light, her identity scanned and verified. Carlos Maldonado is chipped now too, but this implant is different. It communicates with his cell phone and other gadgets by simply touching them.
I'm a pretty tech-savvy person, telling me that I could pretty much get onto electronics with ease. I thought it'd be a pretty cool thing.
He can use it to keep his car locked too. With wireless technology shrinking, microchipping is becoming more mainstream. But getting implanted isn't happening in a doctor's office or even at a hospital. This experience is offered to body modification clients at tattoo and piercing shops like this one in Coconut Grove.
I think it's the future of these microchips implants. And it's the simplest thing to do.
Noel Garcia is among very few people in the country performing this procedure. How is it legal to do something like this at a piercing shop?
It's no different than getting a shot, a flu shot, because it's really basic body piercing techniques.
He says he's done about a dozen in the past couple of years. Anyone can buy the implants and the syringe from dangerousthings.com.
Most of our customers kind of understand what they're doing, and they understand the risk.
Amal Grafstra runs the Seattle-based company. He says business is booming.
Our devices are non-medical in nature. They're used for all kinds of identity applications, so access control, getting in your house, logging into your computer, that kind of thing. And it has nothing to do with medical, so it doesn't fall under the requirements of the FDA to be medically approved.
Which is exactly why people like Noel can do this legally with no questions asked.
This particular microchip implants is personal, like piercing.
But keep in mind, you'll have to get your own chip online. It costs about $75 to $150 for the implantation process, depending on the type of chip and where you want it implanted. Vanessa Borge, CBS 4 News.
Big bush. Wow. Holy. Wow. Holy. That whole rock is moving. Holy. Holy Lord. Watch the power line! Power line! Look out, plane! Wow.
Still over there?
You have got to...
Yeah, we're good.
Wow.
Floodwaters poured through the streets of Arequipa, Peru's second-largest city. Cars were swept away like children's toys. The torrential rains that battered Peru on Sunday caused power outages and landslides and forced thousands of residents out of their homes. Meteorologists blame the storms on El Niño, which they say is the strongest in 15 years and is still picking up steam. Maria Carpaio's home was devastated when a mudslide came crashing through her doors. It was like an ocean wave coming into my house, and it could have killed us, she said. Residents in the northwestern coastal region of Tumbes waded knee-high through streets inundated by the rains. More than 3,000 have reportedly been made homeless by the deluge. Also hard hit was the neighboring region of Puno, where floods left some highways completely impassable.
And as soon as I heard, I left everything laying and jumped in my truck. And now I'm just worried about, I think my boys are okay, but I still have, 15, 20 other boys that I mentor, and I'm hoping everybody's okay. Hard to concentrate. I'm just praying to God that everything is okay with all the boys. It's sad that anybody got hurt, and I'm not sure why a young man would feel compelled to do something like this, but when they do, it affects everybody.
What we had, this is the Madison High School, and today we had a shooting at the Madison High School. We had what we believe was one individual enter into the school and begin firing a weapon at other students in the lunchroom. There were 4 students injured. We believe 2 of them were injured with gunshot and 2 of them with some other type of shrapnel or just an injury of trying to get out of the way. The shooter then fled. The shooter's been taken into custody. The 4, I will not be able to release names of anybody, but the 4 children involved, their families have all been contacted. They've either been transported out or flown out. And we still have an active scene. Obviously, we have detectives at the scene doing the follow-up investigation and interviewing the multitude of students that were on scene at the time.
Clashes have erupted between security forces and refugees trying to break through a fence on the Greece-Macedonia border. Macedonian border guards have fired tear gas to disperse asylum seekers, including women and children who are stranded near the Greek village of Idomeni. Several people have been wounded. Macedonia has effectively closed its borders to all asylum seekers since a week ago. Other countries on the Balkan route have imposed tight border restrictions as well. Greece says the number of refugees on its soil may triple by the end of March, reaching as many as 70,000. Migration Minister Yanis Mouzalis says the increase is mainly blamed on the Balkan countries that have imposed strict transit restrictions for asylum seekers. Europe is struggling with its biggest refugee crisis since the Second World War. Over 1 million refugees arrived in the continent in 2015.
There was about 20 or 30 protesters in the stands just off to my right who were saying a variety of things. One of those things was Black Lives Matter. They were saying some other things that we couldn't make out. They were initially resisting efforts from security to leave the premises, and then they eventually did. There was a little bit of an altercation between some of those protesters and members of security before they eventually left the building. And then it was at that point, Wolf, that Donald Trump up on the stage behind me said, all lives matter, and the crowd here was chanting all lives matter. But there have been several disruptions during this rally, Wolf. At one point, there was a lady who appeared to be of Hispanic descent who was protesting. She was asked to leave, and then Donald Trump asked the protester at that point in front of this entire crowd, are you from Mexico? So it has been sort of a raucous, very sensitive moment here during this Donald Trump rally. But he has been sort of going through the boilerplate speech that we've heard over the last several days. Very caustic, very negative comments aimed at Marco Rubio, the same aimed at Ted Cruz. And it's just an indication as to how on edge this election is getting heading into Super Tuesday. Wolf.
CNN is also learning this morning that an elite group of U.S. Army members are now ready to target, capture, or kill top ISIS operatives. Barbara Starr at the Pentagon with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Carol. You know, there's really a common thread here, the increasing reliance on the elite special operations units by the U.S. military, whether it's SEAL Team 6 or in this case, the Army's elite Delta Force. We're not going to talk about specifics. We're not talking about timing. We are not talking about specific locations. But what we do know now from our sources is that Delta Force operatives in northern Iraq are now ready to begin the operations that they were sent in there to do several weeks ago. Back in December, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter announced something called the Expeditionary Targeting Force. What is that? That is the special forces. They've been spending the last several weeks doing what they do, living covertly, gathering intelligence, establishing informant networks, and now they've collected enough intel, we are told, to have perhaps half a dozen ISIS targets to go after in northern Iraq. What they are doing is what they've always done in places like Afghanistan, in places like Iraq. They develop intelligence, they go, they hit a compound, if you will, capture or kill who's in there, get all the intelligence they can from laptops, from cell phones, and then use that, leverage that to conduct additional missions. So what we are going to see perhaps in the coming weeks now is a real ramp up in what special operations forces are doing. The Pentagon increasingly reliant on them to be on the ground to go after ISIS.
It's done! Get away! 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 Get away from this gentleman! I would get out of here, sir. Don't hurt anybody! Don't hurt him! Hurt him, sir! Sir, don't hurt him! Sir, don't hurt him! Sir, don't hurt him! It's not what Dr. King was about!
We have breaking news this morning from southern Africa, where a piece of a plane might be from Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. U.S. officials close to the investigation say the wreckage from a Boeing 777 washed up on a beach in Mozambique a few days ago. That is far from the search area in the southern Indian Ocean. Chris Van Cleve is in Washington following the mystery that began 2 years ago this month.
Good morning. U.S. sources close to the investigation and the search for MH370 say a plane piece belonging to a Boeing 777 has been found off the coast of Mozambique, Africa. That's in the same vicinity as Reunion Island, where a piece from MH370 was found. This piece that was found is a right leading edge of a tail stabilizer, this wing-like portion on the back of the airplane. It's a horizontal stabilizer. We understand from aviation sources that the plane essentially couldn't fly without one. Of course, only one Boeing 777 is missing, and this piece does belong to a Boeing 777. We understand the piece that was recovered in the last few days has been sent to Malaysia for further investigation.